Okay, the pancreas is an organ that produces chemicals, enzymes in particular, to digest food. It's an organ that is found behind the peritoneum, therefore is considered retroperitoneal organ. If we scroll down, we'll take a look at the anatomy of the pancreas. The pancreas consists of a tail, this part, the body, and the head. In addition to that, it has a main pancreatic duct and the accessory pancreatic duct. One of the jobs of the pancreas is produce enzymes to digest food. Another job is the production of hormones such as insulin. So if we scroll down, what stimulates the secretion of these enzymes is acetylcholine, cholecystokinin, and secretin. Acetylcholine and cholecystokinin are going to stimulate the secretion of enzymes from the pancreas. Secretin stimulates the production of bicarbonate. The food that gets into the duodenum is going to come from the stomach. So the stomach is more or less around this area. It releases the food with acid and it goes into the duodenum. The bicarbonate secreted by the pancreas is going to help neutralize the acidity mixed with the food. So we keep scrolling down, we get to the table where you have the enzymes that are going to digest the nutrients, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids are going to be digested by these enzymes. Therefore, there's going to be a specific enzymes for every single of these nutrients. Just scrolling down, that's it. The next topic in this chapter is the small intestine. Let's take a look at the anatomy of it. So the small intestine consists of three different areas. The first part is the duodenum, which is the continuation of the stomach, jejunum, and ileum. The last part of the ileum is the one that connects with the large intestine at the level of the ileocecal valve. So if we keep scrolling down, right here you have the duodenum. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine and it's not that long. It's approximately 15 centimeters. Then you have the jejunum. Jejunum is the middle part again, and this one is approximately 1.5 meters. The ileum is the last part, and this is longer than the other two, and is on average 2.5 meters. It contains also the Peyer's patches, and as you can see right here. The end of the ileum is the one that connects with the large intestine at the level of the ileocecal valve. If we cut the small intestine and we put a microscope, we can see that it has very important characteristics. Main job of the small intestine is final digestion of food and absorption. The absorption is possible due to the fact that there are three main characteristics that the small intestine is going to have. One of them is the circular folds, the other one is villi, and the last one is going to be microvilli. These three characteristics allow the small intestine to absorb the food because it increases the area of absorption. Right here you can see some villi, the villi being magnified. And each one of these villi is going to have inside, in this case you can see that in there, an arterial, venual, and a lymphatic vessel. In this case, the lymphatic vessel are going to be called lacteals. Around the villi, we're going to have the microvilli. Okay, microvilli, and it forms a brush border. This brush border is very important because it's going to have enzymes that are going to help us with the final digestion of food. In addition to that, we also have glands. There are two main kinds of glands, the glands of Lieberkühn and the Brunner glands. The glands of Lieberkühn are located usually at the base of the villi. At the bottom of these glands, you're going to have Paneth cells. The Paneth cells are mainly responsible for the production of some enzymes such as lysozyme. The Brunner glands are located mainly in the duodenum, and the main job of them is to produce bicarbonate. So the secretion of these glands is approximately 1.5 to 2 liters per day, more or less, and that's considered the intestinal use. So we keep scrolling down. Well, right here you see intestinal secretion. It says 1 to 2 liters intestinal use. Okay, intestinal motility. There are two main types of movements at the level of the intestines. One of them is segmentation, which is basically this one right here. It moves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in order to allow time for the intestines not only to digest but also to absorb the food. And the next one is going to be peristalsis. This is a different kind of movement. The purpose of it is going to be to push the food or the remainders of the food and the nutrients down the intestines so they can reach the large intestine. The ileocecal valve at the end of the small intestine and the beginning of the large intestine is usually closed. When the food reaches the stomach, it stimulates the secretion of gastrin as well as the ileocecal reflex. And these two activities are going to relax the ileocecal valve. So when the remainders of the absorption reach the large intestine, they can be dumped into the cecum. So the remainders of the food can enter the large intestine. So if we keep scrolling down, here it says the peristaltic movements. Right here you have ileocecal valve is closed, you see gastrin and gastroileal reflex. Okay, that's about it for this part. The next item is chemical digestion and absorption. And the main nutrients that we have are going to be carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. And the enzymes produced by the pancreas are the ones that are going to help us with the final digestion of these nutrients. Carbohydrates, the main carbohydrate that we get is starch, and the starch gets digested into glucose, which is the main carbohydrate that is going to be absorbed. And you see right here, they're digested by the enzymes and glucose. Proteins are mainly digested by the enzymes produced by your pancreas, but the initial digestion of these, for example, happens at the level of your stomach with the production of pepsinogen. Okay, and what you get, amino acids. Lipids, in order to digest, we're going to have enzymes as well as bile. But then the main organ that is going to help us digest is going to be the enzymes coming from the pancreas. And don't forget that we also have nucleic acids, and they are going to be digested mainly by the enzymes of your pancreas. The next topic is the large intestine. Let's take a look at the anatomy. Ascending, transverse, and descending. Then also you have the rectum, the cecum, the appendix, and the anus at the bottom. In the middle, you have the mesenteries. The muscle in your large intestine is going to form this structure right here called the tinea coli here, the tinea coli. When this contracts, it produces these protrusions right here, or these balloons, and they're called haustroms. Right here you have the ileocecal valve, which is the connection between the last part of your small intestine and your large intestine. If we keep scrolling down, right here you can see the rectum and the anus, the cecum, the appendix. We talk about transverse colon, ascending, descending, sigmoid. We get to the microscopic anatomy. Right here, when you look at the large intestine, you're going to see mainly that there are glands in there, and these glands are going to produce mucus. Mucus is the main secretion that you're going to have at the level of the large intestine. Next item is intestinal microorganisms. So we have many different microorganisms that they live in our large intestine, but we get some benefit out of that as well because they're going to produce enzymes that are going to help us digest nutrients that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get. And also they help us with the production of vitamin B as well as vitamin K. But they also produce gas, right? And this gas is mainly hydrogen sulfide, is the one that produces the characteristic odor that they have. You keep scrolling down, we see absorption. The main absorption by the large intestine is going to be water and electrolytes. And after that, we're going to end up with feces. Feces are basically 75 to 80% water, and the rest are just solids that are going to be a composition of bacteria as well as fibers that we not digest. Feces are pushed into the rectum and anal canal. Defecation happens basically by two kinds of reflexes. One of them is the intrinsic defecation reflex, and the other one is going to be the parasympathetic defecation reflex. The intrinsic is going to stimulate the relaxation of the internal anal sphincter. If you scroll down, when we look at this figure right here, you're going to see that the internal defecation reflex relaxes the internal sphincter, and the parasympathetic reflex relaxes the external anal sphincter, allowing the feces to come out.